Welcome to Heart and Hand, the Rangers podcast, the podcast that doesn't like messing about with plastic either. This week on Heart and Hand...
Said he was a buffalo soldier, dread like a rasta. Buffalo soldier in the heart of America.
Welcome to Heart and Hand, the Rangers podcast. My name's David Edgar. I am your host, and joining me this week for his first game of the season, long-time podder, taking us very old schools, Mr. Stephen Smith.
How are you, David? You looking okay?
I don't know about looking, but certainly feeling okay, based on what we've been watching lately, Stephen. It's since you were last on was obviously the tail end of last season, and there was much frothing and spitting after humiliation piled upon humiliation. It must be a lot more fun to approach one of these shows after the start we've made this season.
It's been, I think, beyond our best expectations, David. I can't speak for anybody else, but I was just hoping that Gerrard would be the sort of manager that he has turned out to be. In fact, he's exceeded my expectations in the way he handles himself and how he deals with the media and the tough questions that they've asked him, and more importantly in what he's given us as a Rangers team on the pitch. It's just, it's a joy to watch, and I haven't missed a game through various kind of surreptitious and highly questionable sources of live streaming, but it's been great, absolutely fantastic.
I should point out, should anybody be listening who's thinking of sponsoring us who have the rights, that we don't encourage such behaviour. But
no,
officially, fuck it, till they sponsor us, we'll encourage what the hell we like. But give your money, then we'll talk. But actually, before we go on to obviously the events of a very pleasant Sunday in Ayrshire, I would like to talk to you about that, because for those of you who may not know, Stephen has worked with the trade union movement for a number of years. He's a political activist of several decades standing, and has been in and around politics and political parties his whole life. And one of the things that you see, and that you'll have seen a great upsurge in over probably since the turn of the millennium, is media training and the difference it can make in the presentation of someone and their confidence and ability to handle questioning. Now, people that perhaps thought, and it makes me laugh because you and I know the standard of the Scottish press, but it makes me laugh that they somehow thought they were going to master this guy who, since the age of 17, has been headed to the top and has lived under a spotlight, the likes of which that nobody, I think, who hasn't gone through it can even begin to imagine. And this guy will have had access to, in fact, will have been made to by both Liverpool and England, speak to some of the primo top level image and media people in the world. The idea he was going to shite it because, wee dickhead for the Sunday Post was going to ask him a question now seems almost quaint, doesn't it?
It does. It's been one of the most. It's almost from the very initial press conference that laid a marker down and said, "I am a serious person. I'm here to do a serious job. These are the reasons I'm here, and then this is how I'm going to handle it." It was catnip to hear it, a joy to hear it, and he's very clever, isn't he, Gerrard? Like, for example, if he get asked one of the perennially stupid questions that we hear coming at the press conferences at Auchenhowie, he doesn't accept the premise of any stupid questions. He deals with all that Punch and Judy nonsense where they're consistently trying to set us up against everything has to be seen against Celtic Football Club. He's got his key information that he wants to impart. He's respectful to other football clubs. When he was talking about Kyle Lafferty yesterday, for example, good example. I admire him. He's a very good player. He's not my player. and therefore I'm not going to speculate about him coming to Rangers or not coming. He just dealt with the question very professionally, and that's what we've come to expect from him. And he's an absolute. He's grown into that managerial chair and the managerial suit in a way that I think has impressed almost anybody who was looking at it and wondering what it was going to be like.
Yeah, I think what you see here is a guy who didn't just get a phone call in the summer and think, I'd quite like to be a manager. This is a guy who's been thinking about what he's going to do when he makes a step into management, where he's going to make the step into management, who's his backroom team's going to be, what he wants to do, what sort of club he wants to go to. This has been going on in his head for years. And he hasn't arrived unprepared. He's arrived with his blueprint and with good people around him. And one of the things that I'll keep going back to, because I think it's really relevant, is I like people who are leaders, and he's clearly that, but who understand what they're good at and what they're not good at, and also understand that they can't micromanage. They cannot possibly take on every responsibility. It's just not feasible. You won't do them well. You can't. You don't have the time. You don't have the focus. Gerrard brings in McAllister. Every club needs the assistant manager who's respected, can act as a barrier between the manager and the players. He's brought in Michael Beale. He's tactical. He's his coach. He's working on the training pitch guy. He's got Jordan Milsom. He's his fitness guy. It's just everything is thought out, and that, as I say, to me, doesn't suggest somebody who has been larking about or just thought, well, I was a player, now I might as well be a manager.
No, there's a strand of players in the modern game, David, and you'll know as well as I will that they go from Pep Guardiola all the way across, who clearly look at going into management as their next step in their career, and are mapping that out sometimes from as early as their mid-20s, because unfortunately in a professional game, you and I know that it's, you're only a really bad, you're a Kip Broadfoot tackle away from being, not being able to be a professional footballer anymore. So you have to think very carefully about your next move, and if you love the game, then you clearly study what goes on into management. You've got the motivational stuff, you've got the psychological stuff, there's the tactical stuff, the game oriented stuff. It's a very complicated game, as any look at let's say the Manchester City documentary shows, or a look into how Mourinho operates. Very, very complicated, and not something you can just go in and say, right lads, we're going to play 4-4-2, get it up to Alfie. It's not like that anymore. There's all sorts of components to the modern game that really need thought and some kind of, we can't be doing with just a plan A. You need B, C, D, and E, and it needs to adapt very much to. What I like about Gerrard, another thing, David, is that he very much adapts. He's made it clear that we will adapt how we play to deal with a situation, whether we're home or away, and who the opponents are, rather than this is the Rangers style, and that's a very 19th century, 20th century way of looking at it. We're clearly moving ahead in that way, and it's really been uplifting for anybody who's seen the clusterfuck that we've had to deal with in recent years with managers who clearly haven't known what they're doing.
So to Ayrshire yesterday, Rangers first round of the first round for us of the Betfred Cup, because obviously we'd been in Europe and avoided that whole group farrago that kicks off the season. And a tough draw away to Kilmarnock, who had a very good record against us last season, took 7 points from the 4 matches. And in fact, the last time we were at Rugby Park was just before Christmas, where I stood from the stands with my head in my hands, watching Rangers be completely outplayed, outfought, outworked. If you can stick out in front of a word, then Rangers were that day, and we're lucky to get away with just a 2-1 defeat. So Kilmarnock went into confident they've got a good manager, but my feeling was before it, look, we've got better, they've got worse, we should have enough about us. I was slightly concerned, Stephen, going in about possible mental fatigue. And look, I get it's August, you can't be fatigued, I get that. But anyone who's made a short trip knows that it can take it can take you a day or two to get your shit together. And we were just back from Slovenia after a fantastic effort, hard work to get us through a tough, tense tie. I wondered about that, and I was delighted that I didn't see that.
No, and I think a few of us, and I certainly had concerns when I saw the team sheet, and I saw, no disrespect to either player, Wes and Halliday there, and I thought, well, okay, if we're going to rotate the goalkeeper in cup competition, that may very well be what Gerrard's doing. I can think of better places to do it than going to Rugby Park, an artificial pitch. particularly in terms of how good and how important McGregor's been. But I have to say, in terms of the performances of both of those players, Davey, I think both of them were outstanding. Ford made two absolutely outstanding saves at very important junctures of that game, and Halliday didn't put a foot wrong, so I was eating my words, and I'm sure a lot of us were.
Yeah, I'm delighted to do so. I think both of them played. Halliday is settling in under Gerrard to give you a solid performance, and that's great because he's not going to turn into a fabulous, fantastic multi-million pound footballer, but he is showing that he can be a very good utility squad player who can come in big games, because that was a big game against a tough opponent, as you say, on a far from ideal surface. And he came in and he gave it an absolutely rock solid 7 out of 10. And if he does that, then there is very much a place for Andy Halliday there. The manager clearly likes him, clearly likes his attitude. The fans like him. That's one of the things I keep hearing people say about, and it's maybe just the circles that I move in, but they're quite wide, the circles that I move in. There's a lot of people in them, and I don't really hear Halliday get abuse per se. I tend to hear it more, people don't think he's good enough, and you can quibble with that or you can disagree with that, but I don't think he gets picked on or gets maybe the likes of what Windass got. I don't think he's quite a whipping boy. Equally, I'd hold my hands up and say, and I was one of them, a lot of people don't really rate him and maybe don't think he should be there. But I think they trust the gaffer. The gaffer likes him, and performances like yesterday. And I'd absolutely agree with Wes, because one of my criticisms of Wes is that sometimes he makes the saves you expect him to, and he doesn't pull off the ones that a really top goalkeeper would pull off. He did yesterday. The one from the free kick where it's come in, the runners have all missed it, it's bounced. We've seen those go into the net time after time, in all strands of football. But as it bounces, it's only bouncing slightly below waist height. To not only get to it, that was impressive, but to then get it up and over the bar, I thought was a genuinely top class save.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. If McGregor had done it, he'd be getting major kudos. It was outstanding, and with the Kilmarnock forward being so close to it, any kind of touch would have diverted it. So it was really concentration of the highest order. And if that means that Wes Foderingham steps his game up to compete with Al McGregor, and he's prepared to stay at Ibrox and provide that kind of squad depth, then all the better for us. And I agree with your analysis, really, David, in terms of the kind of what I'd call the leftovers from the Mark Warburton squad, because really the group think is that only Tav is good enough to be in that squad now, and Halliday doesn't really get consideration. But I think we have to remember that good managers, and I believe Steven Gerrard has got all the makings of being one of those good managers, particularly good coaches, improve players. We see it in the EPL, where a couple of examples where Pep has improved Raheem Sterling enormously as a player, where Klopp improved Jordan Henderson enormously as a player. I'm not saying either of those two are world beaters, but from where they were when those managers came into those clubs to where they are now is a very long journey, and it's all improvement. And there's no reason why there's a whole tranche of players at Ibrox that Gerrard can't improve. And there's no reason why Halliday, at the age he is, can't be one of them, because he's young enough and he's keen enough and he's a club man. He'll have to be dragged out the door at Ibrox and all sorts of circumstances.
I'm going to do something that you'll know what I'm talking about, and older bears will know what I'm talking about. It might sound unforgivably trite, but I'm going to do it anyway. 1986. I remember a couple of weeks ago for our Patreon site. For those of you who subscribe, you'll know what I'm talking about. We do a show called The Watch Along, which we just go back and watch a game in real time and chat away about the circumstances and the actual match itself. And one of the games we did was the 1986 League Cup final against Celtic. Now, in our mind, we've got Butcher, Woods, Roberts, that sort of thing that season. But in that team, which was October 1986, soon as his first season, he'd Ali Dawson at centre-back. He'd Cammy Fraser in there. He had to make do with a lot of players who were there. In fact, the only two players he'd signed that were in that team were three players, were the aforementioned Butcher and Woods and Jimmy Nicholl, who had returned. But it wasn't quite the 8, 9, 10 players that we might have in our foggy memories. It was pretty much the guts of the squad from the year before. And it is about that. In an ideal world, and there's been a hell of a player turnaround at Ibrox, and he could bring in another 6 or 7, but it doesn't work that way. And injuries bite. You need to have guys who were there that can be relied upon in the short, medium term.
Mm-hmm. You know, hopefully we'll go on and talk about the potential acquisitions and where that squad needs to kind of improve later on, David. But I think, for example, if we lost Morelos, God forbid, then that team, you wonder where the bite's going to come from. So we have to get to a position where we can't lose a single player and effectively the club and the team be significantly weakened. But it's all about those stepping up. You hear that talk, it's always positioned, isn't it? Particularly when Gerrard talks about it, that you know, people have to take their chance when they get the opportunity to step up. And Fodringham did that yesterday, and Halliday did that on Sunday. Remember, after he was fairly kind of comprehensively targeted by Maribor, who were looking to exploit him as a weakness, and you know, it didn't happen. So his confidence will be growing, and it's great. You know, that can only be good for the player and for us.
Now, we're seeing some extraordinary things from Alfredo Morelos this season. We saw one yesterday where he hit a 4-goal hat-trick. Because
that was amazing.
Yes.
The perfect hat-trick as well, eh?
This week's honest mistake came in the 8th minute when Rangers were attacking. The ball fell to Alfredo Morelos after a scramble. He should have done a wee bit better maybe in terms of the strike, but he still got enough on it to knock it over the line, which I generally count as a successful shot. And the ball goes behind the line. Kilmarnock defender who's standing on the line with his front foot swings with his back foot, kicks the ball out from behind the line. Everyone looks to the referee. He looks to his linesman, who was perfectly positioned, and no goal given.
It's a puzzler, isn't it, David? You know, and we've had the kind of pushback, which is why you have had it from fans of other clubs, and particularly in social media, which is why are you complaining when your club is doing well? And I'd say the answer is, I just want my football club to be refereed to a professional, capable standard, the same as everybody else. So, for example, we've had two games where potentially game-changing decisions have been made. In the case at Pittodrie, it did change the outcome of the game. And it could have changed the outcome again, because that was at 0-0, as was the Morelos penalty that wasn't given, that took place 10 minutes later at the same end when Boyd dragged him down. And you know, in most other leagues that would have been given.
I don't know. I'll hold my hands up. We're not a monoculture on Heart and Hand, and I'll hold my hands up and say I didn't think that was a penalty. I know what you mean. Okay. It's seen them given, but that one didn't annoy me. The ball being behind the fucking line annoyed me.
David, I honestly, you know, living in England and watching a lot of English football as I do, I honestly hadn't given it any thought that Scotland wouldn't have goal line technology.
Well,
are we playing in the daft cages? Why don't we just go back to playing with jumpers for goalposts and 5 half-time 10 the winner?
Stephen, I don't think we're far off it. Did you see that fucking pitch yesterday, mate? We can't afford grass. we're football clubs that can't afford to have football pitches. Yeah, I mean, it is ludicrous that we don't have that, and you think of some of the money that gets wasted in Scottish football. There should be a certain level of facility that you have to have. We are going to come to the pitch. In fact, we'll move on now towards the pitch, because it struck again. Now, there are certain artificial pitches that you look at and they're pristine, and you maybe not like them, because I think instinctively as a football fan we tend not to like them. But they look, you know, all right, decent, modern, whatever. Kilmarnock's looks like if you've ever folded down a plastic Christmas tree and put it in the box. It looks like that. Except there are thousands of them that have all been placed together and jammed down underfoot. Jamie Murphy running into the corner, fairly innocuous. People have complained about Broadfoot's challenge. While I'm no fan of the poached egg face Fanny, I didn't think he did an awful lot out of the ordinary here. Jamie Murphy's foot catches in the turf and does his knee, and it looks pretty bad. We're still waiting at the time of recording for news, but I go a lot on player reactions. I thought knew instantly. There were reports that he'd said he heard or he felt something snap. The medical people I thought were preparing us for the worst. I think football people know when something serious has happened, and it does look as though he's suffered knee ligament damage, which of course will rule him out for a significant length of time. Now, Kilmarnock don't water that pitch. It's very dry, and you can see that from irregular bounce. I would say that the head knock that Niko Katic and the Kilmarnock player suffered in the second half was due to an irregular bounce. Watch the ball, it doesn't bounce the way you would expect, it sort of holds up. They wait, therefore, to see where it's going to drop, and then they go in. An unnatural bounce, a false situation, and it caused an injury, which could have been a hell of a lot more serious, incidentally. That's on top of the one serious injury that it's caused. Now, Fraser Wishart, who's the secretary of the Professional Footballers Association, the Footballers Union, has today called for a debate on these pitches and said his members are not happy about the state of the plastic pitches in Scotland. This is a legitimate thing. Again, glad I've got you on. You're a union guy. Workers' safety is always, or should always, be paramount. As he said himself, this is not just us as football fans moaning because one of our players got injured. This is their rep speaking, presumably on their behalf, saying this is our members' work environment. This is where they do their job, and it's not good enough. I don't think it's an unfair expectation to say to a professional football club, you need to have a standard grass pitch, and complaints about it costs us this much, it costs us that much. In that case, then it needs to be a consideration for where your TV money goes, because if you're spending money on a grass pitch, or you're not rather, because you want to invest it in your playing squad, I'm sorry, that's arse for elbow. Buy one less player, pay one less wage, get a pitch people can play on. That seems fair to me.
It's fair, David, and no matter where your place of work is, you've got a legal entitlement to a healthy, safe workplace. It doesn't matter whether it's a shop, a factory, a steelworks, an office. You know, there's a legal, under the 74 Health and Safety at Work Act, you've got a legal entitlement to a safe place of work. And clearly, a plastic football pitch for a professional football player is not a safe place to work, because not only, as you say, is it where you can catch your feet and do soft tissue ligament damage, but you can also, when you land, there's no give in it at all, you know, as opposed to like the grass. I'm not saying when you get knocked to the floor and you get winded, you know, that's not difficult, but clearly in a plastic pitch there's absolutely no give to that. And I agree with you, since we cannot complain, it doesn't strike me as it's logical for Scottish football fans to complain about the national team not making World Cup and European Championship qualifiers when three of the nation's top division play in plastic and artificial pitches. You know, by the way, let's not pretend that that's for anything other than their convenience, because okay, the initial installation cost is expensive, but after that it costs pennies to maintain it. Whereas if you have to have a pitch, roll it, make sure that it's grass and grow it, and get a groundsman to look after it, and invest in kind of lights to keep the grass growing and to make it playable, flat and an acceptable playing surface. That's a lot of hassle and a lot of grief given the climate that we live in these islands. So it's for their convenience only. I've played in a plastic pitch, you know, in a big place, and when it's nice when you hit a pass and it goes straight to where you want it to, it's not very nice when you have to get down and you slide tackle and you lose half the skin off your calf. It's not particularly enjoyable. So, plus it's an unfair advantage. There is no doubt in my mind it's an unfair advantage to the home team who play on it regularly. We saw that yesterday.
But do you know? I would have said that, but I know that the Kilmarnock players don't like it. They prefer when they're away because they play on grass.
Well, if they don't like it and nobody else likes it, and I'm glad that the SPFA have finally gotten involved a bit after the fact, but you know, better late than never. Then, if everybody's against it, why do we have it?
Well, you've nailed it. It's finance, and it's clubs who want to. I mean, the excuse you get a lot is, oh well, we rent it out. You know, we're a community club. We rent it out to local youth groups and charities, and that you hear a lot. And look, that's laudable. That's not why they do it. They do it for money, and they can make money off it. And I'm sorry, but you've got to have a pitch that's playable, doesn't increase the risk of injuries. And Stephen Craigan, who either is just naturally gifted at it or gets up early in the morning to work and stupid things to say. Came away with a belter yesterday where he said, well, you could catch your knee on a grass pitch. Yes, you could, but it's about increased risk. Everybody accepts that football is not ballet and it's a contact sport and injuries happen. We get that. But you reduce the risk, i.e. you outlaw savage tackling. Doesn't mean you can't tackle. It means you can't go over the top of the ball with your studs showing. That's just common sense. It means you reduce the risk. Are you more likely to pick up injuries, particularly knee injuries, particularly wear and tear injuries, on an artificial pitch? Yes, you are. Countless studies have shown that. So I would say that in the old days, remember, people didn't get into the league because they didn't have 10,000 seater stadiums, and you might have felt that rule was a bit excessive, but I really don't think have a grass pitch that can be played on is that excessive.
No, it's not a big ask. And although I hear what you're saying about clubs saying, well, we rent our facilities out. I played at Preston's ground a few times, but that was great. We're in an empty stadium. But the fact of the matter is that within a 2-mile radius of that, and I suspect every other professional football ground in the UK, you'll find a whole load of other artificial pitches that are council run or on school premises that would be equally suitable. And I'm sure that local schools and communities would far rather, let's say, see the footballers out in the schools coaching the kids than getting the occasional opportunity to play at an empty Rugby Park, for example. In the kind of Kilmarnock area, I don't really see that that's a material reason for putting the health and safety of the national game and multi-million-pound footballers at deliberate risk, because there is absolutely no doubt that playing on an artificial pitch as opposed to playing on a grass pitch is far worse on the health and safety and as a spectacle for that matter. Oh, yeah. There's no positives to it at all.
No, when you're trying to sell the game around the world, which the SPFL are trying to do at the moment with the international TV rights coming back up for these, having a pitch that, as I say, looks comedic does not give the best impression of your league, and when a player has to go off by something that's quite clearly a pitch-related injury, then it screams Mickey Mouse. It does, and there's no getting away from it. Rangers, though, and particularly I want to touch on this point, Alfredo Morelos, who last season, if he missed a chance, could and quite regularly did look as though he was carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders, and everything about him was bad. Yesterday something went unfairly against him, didn't let him bother him in the slightest. A few minutes later, Rangers go in the attack, James Tavernier puts over a ball, slight deflection, loops up, there's Alfie to nod it home. And just before half time, wonderful piece of striking play. I love my strikers who can do this. Long ball over the top from James Tavernier. He'll get an assist, but I think it's very much Alfie's goal. Defender makes a cardinal mistake of letting it bounce. That's enough for our Alfie. He gets in, beautifully uses his derriere to create a little bit of space for himself to win the ball. Defender knows he's fucked up, can't pull him back because it'll be a penalty in Scotland it'll be a penalty maybe. But Alfie's away by this point, lashes it into the far corner. 2-0 up, Rangers flying, and Morelos' start to the season just gets better and better and better, and the last half dozen games, I think, with the exception obviously of his rescinded red card, I think he's been sensational.
I'd agree with that, and I like many people, were watching him at the start of the season and thinking, which Morelos is going to pitch up here, but I think we've seen in recent weeks that was somebody who smiles, somebody who's playing the game in exactly the right way, loves the fans. He started to engage with the support, and can't remember, most of last season he didn't even seem to kind of acknowledge them, but now he's actually engaged with that. They're singing his name, the manager loves him, he clearly loves the manager. His attitude, I like it, David. He's got a bit of a nip about him, and I think that's going to run him into trouble with the kind of idiots that referee in Scotland, but there's no getting away from it. I wouldn't want to take that out of his game, because it's what makes him the player he is. And that second goal, as you said, illustrated it really nicely. Douglas was another one that used to do that.
Yes,
He'd use his body and back into you and make it difficult, be a nightmare to play against. And there won't be a defender in the land that would look forward to playing him. And he's clearly a confidence player as well. So a hat-trick yesterday away from home, his best performance yet at the end of a series of good performances.
Yeah.
I think he's flying. So it can't come next game can't come soon enough, but I have to say, I'd like to see him getting a bit of a lift in terms of the weight off his shoulders by another couple of two, but certainly one striker appearing that would take a wee bit of the weight and maybe give other teams a little bit of something to think about in terms of a different set of challenges. But at the moment, what a player he is.
Into the second half, and Rangers were playing really well, knocking the ball about very confidently, very sharply, and in fact got into a series of olays from the crowd, but then Rangers lose the ball. I mean, don't get me wrong, on the Kilmarnock goal line, Kilmarnock win the ball back. I thought that the defender had actually done well to keep it in, but Bears who were at the game tell me that nope, the ball was quite clearly out. Now it's hard to see because we didn't get any replays of it from BT. Kind of think we would have had it been us, incidentally, but there you go.
An honest mistake, Davey, but it'd just be an honest mistake.
I can't say 100% it was, because, as I say, we didn't get the chance to go back and really look at it in detail. It's hard to tell from the one camera angle that we saw of it, but against that, I'm going to be very Rangersy and say, look, we've still had a long time to deal with it after that. Kilmarnock gone up the park. First of all, they've gone down there left with Jordan Jones. They've then cut across, switched it back. He goes up to Scott Arfield, who makes his one mistake of the week. I'm not being harsh on Scott Arfield. He's been terrific in 2 games. He's really been a joy to watch. But he dives in. Jones gets away from him, puts the cross over. Scrappy goal, deflection up off. I think Boyd puts a leg at it, but doesn't quite get it. But it bounces up, hits Borna Barisic. Nothing he can do. Looks off him. 2-1, and then for about 10 minutes, Kilmarnock in the ascendancy, without, I think, really having Wes diving about the goal left, right and centre. I think that the defence, again, superbly marshalled by Connor Goldson and ably backed by Niko Katic, stood up pretty well. And then Rangers, as Kilmarnock got that little bit more desperate, it's a cup tie, they absolutely should. There's no point going at 2-1, you've got to go for it. They stepped up. Rangers, I thought rather expertly, began to play through the space with Arfield, and he did this the other night as well, leading the charge so often on the counter, and then a lovely passing move over Ajaria to Scott Arfield. He then slips in Tav with a terrific ball. If getting an assist for the first one was the second one was maybe a wee bit fortunate, then he deserves 2 assists for this one, because it's just perfectly played into the middle, the on-rushing Alfie. Now, I heard people say he can't miss. Look, with Alfie, we've seen him miss those, right? And I think it's actually a better finish than he's been given credit for, because, yes, it's a tap-in, but Alfie of last season, I am convinced, would have ran in and side-footed at the direction he was facing, because he gets overexcited, or he got overexcited. If you actually watch this, and that would have gave the keeper who was running back across the line, that would have gave him a chance to get something on it. He just opens his body and his foot up just slightly, and then guides it away from the keeper into the bottom corner. It looked a simple routine finish because he made it look like that. And I don't want to overpraise him in terms of he should absolutely score, it would have been a terrible miss. I'm just saying that that's growth. That's development. That's something that's different. That's him thinking about his game a bit more. And even though it was a tap-in, beautiful goal right enough, but even though it was a tap-in, I thought it was just a really encouraging sign.
Yeah, it was an excellent goal, and it's even more so in the replay, because if you watch him, Broadfoot's marking him for this one. Broadfoot has got him until the half second before Tav passes that ball, in which case Morelos is round his other side and he's in front of him, anticipating that ball coming over. It's really clever forward play. You don't get a lot of forwards are watching the ball. The absolute top draw forwards are looking for the movement, and that's what Morelos did yesterday to create that opportunity you've just described there, David. It's really clever forward play, and it's even better that it's against Broadfoot, who, I have to say, unfortunately, because of the whole Ryan Jack thing that we watched against Kilmarnock at Ibrox last year, is fast kind of ushering himself into the Alfie Con, Billy Dodd's doghouse for me, in terms of ex-Rangers players that have kind of traduced their legacy and what they did for us when they played there. But a great goal, and three assists for Tav as well. I mean, that's just outstanding. Yeah. He will absolutely, again, he'll be flying, he'll be buzzing. Another player that everybody thought when Flanagan came and we Bob Barisic were thinking, okay, his place is under pressure, but he's responded, and the manager clearly trusts him with the captain's armband as well, and I'm very, very pleased for him, because he's been there when it's been sticky and very difficult. So the more the merrier.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was pretty much game done. I think at that point Rangers saw it out comfortably and head into the next round when well-known Rangers lover Chris Sutton enraged the Hooped Hordes. Not that difficult thing to do these days, enraging the Hooped Hordes. They're kind of sitting there pretty much ready to go. You generally just have to kind of light a match and stand back and watch. But he enraged them by drawing Rangers out of the hat first. Ali McCoist then looked for the cold ball, pulled out lowest ranked side Ayr United. Rangers will play Ayr at Ibrox in the quarterfinals either on the 25th or 26th of September. And Stephen, look, this is a legitimate great golden opportunity to win a trophy. Win that match, which we should, 100%. Rangers always should. Got nothing to do with the fact that this is a decent looking team that we're building now, but Rangers should always win that match. Should we knock out Ayr, we're in the semi-finals. It's opened up.
This is not a Rangers side that I worry about, David, I have to say. Even this early in the season, I'm not thinking, I hope we can avoid Team X and Team Y. I'm thinking, bring it on, bring the next game on, and let's see this lot develop. Because we're only halfway through August, but we've been involved in competitive matches both at home and obviously in European competition, and there's been improvement, tangible, marked and clear improvement. So I'm looking forward. I'm not worrying anymore as I used to do, going, I hope we avoid them, or I hope we get a home tie rather than a away tie. I'm just thinking, bring it on. And you're right, there's no reason. The League Cup is Rangers' main trophy in terms of one that we've always had. Even when we had teams that weren't particularly good and we weren't doing very well in the league, we always had a good run at a League Cup. And I always feel that it's a tournament that favours us. So I'd like to see us putting an early marker on the board.
The League Cup's always been good to us. And I've never been one, even when people were at the height of the hubris and saying, don't worry about the League Cup. No, you win it. Rangers win trophies. That certain clubs do certain things, and that's what marks out their greatness. And certain clubs have a self-image of themselves. Some clubs, it's we play this great football, we're lovable losers, whatever. Our self-image is we win things. That's what we do. That's what we're built on. And you can't win a treble if you don't win the League Cup. That's always been my attitude. So also the first one. Get the first one, because we've got guys there who haven't won anything. We have a couple of McGregor and hopefully laughing and stuff, but you know what I mean. We don't have a squad of guys who know what it's like to get over the line. That's good experience. The aforementioned Souness Cup final was huge. Jose Mourinho speaks about it when he goes to a club. He prioritises the League Cup. Get the first one won, get the trophy, get people used to that feeling, give them a taste and move on. So no, I'm the same. It's opened up. The draw's been very nice to us. But I'm like you. I wanted Celtic at home. In the cup, Celtic at home, all the sheep. That's what I was after. And you're right, it is a lovely feeling to just trust a Rangers team, and that's where I am with this side at the moment. So let's then have a wee chat about potential ins and outs. Lee Hodson heading off to St Mirren on loan, although out of contract at the end of the season, so effectively they'll just take his contract to the end of the year. No great loss, and with all due respect to Lee Hodson, I mean, I think he would have been way, way down the list to come in. But it's players coming in that we're probably more interested in. Now, obviously, the Kyle Lafferty thing at time of recording is rumbling on. Rangers, obviously very hopeful of bringing him in. A centre-half is necessary. We have two currently. We need a centre-half. It's unrealistic to expect those two to play every match this season, so we're going to need a centre-half. Rangers working on that. I wonder as well, though, if the injury to Jamie Murphy might make us go out even into the loan market, but just out again and look for another body out there, for the simple reason is that when we play the 4-3-3, we need two wide players. I think you need a minimum of 4, therefore. We currently have 3 fit. I wonder if that might see us go out and look at bringing someone in as well.
Or David, whether it opens an opportunity up for young Middleton to get himself from the kind of fringes of the first team squad into a regular opportunity. I mean, I'd like that, and I think many of us would. But yeah, I mean, we need the depth, the key position as you pointed out, where there is, not enough covers at centre half. And I wouldn't want to see. And you can remember when Steven Gerrard first appeared, one of the things that he was kind of outraged about was watching Ross McCrory played out of position at centre half when he was clearly a defensive midfielder. So I don't think there's any question that they would be expecting McCrory to cover at centre half and anything other than an emergency, an injury or down to 10 men or what have you, and he's on the pitch. So we definitely need that cover. I haven't heard any names mentioned after the whole Jake Cooper thing went quiet and the Man City boy who failed the medical. So we do need that, and I don't think I'm hearing that it's a Scotty centre half, because I can't think anybody that are remotely good enough to play for us, so we do need that covered. But the manager said a couple of times that that's what he's looking at. And if we bring Lafferty, and I'm not one of these people that thinks that Umar Sadiq isn't going to be a good player for us. He's just clearly off the pace at the moment in terms of fitness, and it will come when he gets game time and confidence. We can't expect him to come on the last 10-15 minutes of a game, that's practically dead, and then and shine, particularly on a plastic pitch. He's going to play when he gets some decent game time and he's got some decent competitive matches under his belt. I have every confidence that he'll provide cover there, but we do need another striker.
Yeah.
And whether that will Lafferty or not, I don't. I'm not one of these that's opposed to him coming back at all. I think he clearly wants to come to Rangers, and it would be great to have him back for all sorts of reasons. And he's only 30. We're not talking about an old man, he's not. No. His career's, he's got some good years in front of him and a bit more experience, and he's hopefully he's not the complete bampot that he was when he was in his early 20s.
No, aren't we all? Maturity and such like come to us all in the end up, even unexpectedly. But yeah, I'm the same. I think Lafferty would do as a turn. He can play up front on his own, which is useful the way that we play, obviously, with Morelos doing that. He can play wide as well in a 3, which he's done for Hearts quite successfully recently against Celtic, in fact. So I can see a lot of sense in it, providing the money is right. And I do wonder, I mean, there's whispers kicking about, don't know if there's anything in it, but Jordan Jones of Kilmarnock, long-term admirer, and Mark Allen has had a good start to the season. Again, though, maybe the money in that, they certainly would be. I don't think you'd get him to the table for under $1 million, and people can say, oh, he's not worth that, whatever, but he's their star asset. They have to try and get the most that they possibly can for him. So we'll see. Still a bit to go in terms of the transfer window, and obviously.
Can I say that I kept an eye on him yesterday, David, and I have to say I was impressed with what not just about their goal. But actually, his overall play, Kilmarnock with, and Chris Buck played well as well. You can see the way they set up. It's very difficult. They were obviously trying to kind of stem the tide a bit and stop Tav and Barisic getting forward as kind of auxiliary forwards and throwing men into the Kilmarnock half. And I think they did that quite well for large periods of that game. And I thought Jones was excellent for them, and he would, he didn't look out of place on that. In terms of the players he was playing against. Whether he's good enough or not, I don't know, but I thought he was excellent yesterday.
I like him. I think he's a player there, and I think that every time I've seen him the last couple of years, he's improved each time, which suggests to me he's coachable, which suggests to me that you're getting somebody that, alright, might not be the finished article at the moment, and I still think he could contribute now. He's proven that at SPFL level, but I think you could develop him into something better, and there's things like resale value and whatnot. You're obviously not going to get that with Lafferty, so maybe with your other signing you look to do it. I don't know. I'm sure that's something that they're looking at the moment. But games keep coming thick and fast, mate. Next one sees us take on Ufa. And a correction from the other day. I said the manager is Andrei Kanchelskis. He isn't. He used to be. Blame me. We recorded that directly after the first leg, the second leg of the last round, and that one came from Tom Miller on commentary. So blame Tom for that one. I blotted it out as well. One of these Chinese whispers I get, but he was the manager. He's not now. Been a kind of slightly surreal pre-match thing with them where The press have reported that they may struggle to get their visas. They hadn't applied for the expedited process in time. According to UFA, and I think most people around the process know they are going to get their visas. I mean, I can't recall anything like this. Sounds, somebody not getting their visas and us getting a buy sounds much more the kind of thing that happens to Celtic.
Yeah, maybe they're a registration issue or sort of over a player that never appeared and you get a buy. Well, you and I have both been to Russia. They know how difficult it is to get a visa getting in there. But my understanding is that this is a storm in a teacup, and it'd just be some Egypt making a story up and everybody else running with it. Let's just make the anticipation that we're going to have a game at Ibrox on Thursday. And I reckon that, I think as long as we are not complacent about it, and I think the fact there's going to be a full house more or less will make sure that we don't. I think we just need to kill the tie at Ibrox, keep a clean sheet, go over there with a 2 or 3 goal lead, and then we can manage it then over there, because obviously, after we've been to Russia, we've got we go across the city, so it's important that we'll get everybody fit, and we've managed our kind of resources as well, in anticipation of that.
We're not good enough at the moment, nor have we earned the right to underrate any side. And if we do not have our heads on right against UFA, we'll struggle. How many times over the years have you seen more lauded Rangers teams than this crash out to teams that they shouldn't have because they weren't at it on the night? They weren't right. So I won't be underrating them in terms of it's a walkover. Against that, though, it's legitimate to say we've beaten 2 better sides than them. We have. And that this is a tie that Rangers, I think, can and should win. I don't think that's unreasonable, and I don't think the squad or the manager was saying that. And look, if you told me at the start of this campaign, you need to be a side of UFA's level to get into the group stage of the Europa League and the £6 to £10 million that'll get you, I'd have bit your hand off. I mean, this is a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah, let's not forget that the Croatian team, that Osijek knocked ESV out last season, and that Maribor were ranked 64. The UEFA, very, very, considerably
Champions League team last year.
Very decent side. I haven't seen any signs from the manager or the squad of any signs of complacency yet, David.
No.
We're still in August. There's no sign of it, and you're right. As long as we bring our A game, we'll give ourselves a really good chance, and I would consider us strong favourites to get through. And as you say, the group stages will take care of themselves. There's no easy games in that, but it's lucrative, and all of a sudden the club's seriously involved in European competition again, and that's good for recruitment. It's good for retention. It's good for the manager's learning curve as well. So there's all sorts of positives from that.
Now, quick chat before we head today about our somewhat funny neighbours in the city who are currently collectively losing their shit about Rangers, which is always a good sign, a usual sign, but in this case slightly differently. In the social media, phone-ins, the usual places that they congregate, you can sense the fear of Gerrard and what Rangers are building, and you can sense it through he's not really the manager, he's going to leave soon anyway, he's got no money, the usual stuff. But it's quite apparent that they are panicking because it wasn't supposed to be like this, and it got me thinking about the infantilisation of the Celtic support by their club and their media, and I say their media advisedly. For so long they've been coddled, and they are told that basically anything they want they should have. Anything that they don't like, they are told is somehow wrong, right? And therefore, if it's wrong, it's somehow evil. It's just it should not be countenanced. And that if they want something, they have been convinced and enabled over the years to believe that so long as they say something repeatedly, it's the case. And this dissonance comes to a head quite often in Europe, where they get a referee who doesn't worry about getting his windows panned in by them, or they face a team who aren't cowed by them. And their inability to cope with it because, as I say, I mean, psychologists would have a field day, because they have been told, no, nothing should go against you. If it does, it's wrong and it's evil and it's bad people who have done it, rather than just, it's life, fucko, get on with it. And I have really noticed the last couple of weeks where they're desperately scrabbling for any other conclusion than Occam's razor, which could just be King's running Rangers reasonably prudently and Gerrard's quite a good manager. And the desperation and the childishness of it, because, you know, when you're a grown-up, you're not supposed to make shit up anymore. You know, you're really not. You tend to have to try and have some sort of basis in fact for your opinion. That's sort of what we expect as grown-ups. You're not just allowed to say to someone, you know, well, Steven Gerrard's actually only up here on 6 weeks work experience and it's agreed he's going to Liverpool in October anyway, lol, and expect to be taken seriously, because it's the kind of thing children do. You just make shit up. It's fucking hilarious, mate.
Well, that was quite highbrow, a reference to Occam's razor, David. And let me give you another one. Queen Gertrude in Act 3 of Hamlet said, "The lady doth protest too much." That's what they are. They're whistling going past the graveyard. It's actually quite amusing. I saw almost immediately after they went out to AEK Athens, people calling for Brendan Rodgers' head, and I thought, in what universe does a manager who has won six of the last 6 available domestic trophies and took you through a season undefeated, why are you calling for his head? Because, you know, things haven't gone our way at literally the first problem they've had for 3 seasons, and the toys are absolutely out the pram. They have been, as you say, spoon-fed, pandered to, call it what you will, but it's a circular monologue and an echo chamber for them. And I think there's a danger in that. You know, if we were all sat talking about how wonderful Rangers are, unequivocally, everything's great, it's only a matter of time before we win the European Cup, all that, you know, then we'd rightly be ridiculed. You have to season that with a bit of realism and a bit of difficulty. And, you know, you're only one defeat away, either side of Glasgow. You're only one defeat away from questions being asked about your playing style and managerial ability and all the rest of it. But, you know, they've a lot of those problems that our friends across the city have created look self-inflicted. You know, it's hilarious listening to them about Boyata. Boyata's a player that I'm always praying turns up for them, because he's absolutely garbage. I haven't seen him have a good game against Rangers in any of the ones he's played.
No, I want
even
to be
when
fit.
he's picked up a terrible team.
I want
he's
him
a
in
bomb
the side.
scare.
Yeah, he's a fucking bomb that's gone off. Never mind a bomb scare. It's we're way past the phoned in stage. I'm the same. I'm desperate for them to keep him. I really hope they do.
And then they're all going, "Oh, he's cost us Europe because he didn't want to play because he played okay in the World Cup." He's absolutely terrible, you know. It's a player, and by the way, it's a player that 2/3 of the Celtic fans don't want anywhere near the football team. All of a sudden, he's the Messiah stroke naughty boy. It's an absolute nonsense.
He played okay against Panama and Tunisia, you know, for Belgium. I could have got by in that match. But look, whatever. There was a great tweet, and I'm going to extrapolate a lot from that because fuck, it's my show. But after the Hearts game that they lost, popped a tweet from Hearts mocking Brendan Rodgers' grass complaints, which remember were legitimate. I mean, he moaned like hell after a 4-0 defeat about the length of the grass, and then to add to that, Celtic tried to get a uniform grass level law brought in the summer. So Hearts, I think, have every right to take the piss, and all they did was post a picture of their groundsman with a lawnmower, and they had the caption "Better late than never" after the match. Right, it's a jab, it's a piss take. It's, you know, it's not fun when you're in a bad mood and you've been fucked. We've all been there. It's not pleasant, but you, to quote one of their former managers, you take it on the chin and you move on. But there was a reply from a Celtic supporter underneath it, and I thought this is, I think, what kind of crystallised the thought in my mind, where he put, "Remove this tweet immediately or I shall contact the police." Now, on the one
hand, that'd have been a conversation worth listening to.
Hello, actually, known Scottish fucking coppers, they'd have sent round a SWAT team. But genuinely, that's the thought process. And this guy was totally serious about it. And it made me think, this is because he has been told, he is so used to, if I don't like something, it's therefore bad, and if it's bad, it's therefore evil, and if it's evil, therefore it's wrong, and therefore I should get my way. And
whether the SNP government to make this illegal.
Taking the piss out of me and my club is therefore part of the age-old conspiracy against the Roman Catholic Church, is therefore bigoted, and therefore the police should be involved in this. And it's because of that mindset, added to the fact that they are so fearful of 55, right? I mean, so fearful. In a way that I'm not sure we can imagine, because after 6 years of, Sevcoing, they know that when that happens, then that's it fucked for them. That's that era completely done in. It's gone. It's normality's returned. And things will go back to normal once it's out the way, right? Once it's done, then we'll just go back to kind of just having a fairly bitter rivalry. But until that happens, they have this huge sword of Damocles hanging right over them that they cannot help but looking at constantly. And that's why I've always said, if we can get close to them, and that's the big part of it, the pressure they will put on their squad, the pressure from the media, and listen, don't get me wrong, it'll be ramped up in refs, the press will go nuts, but it will be intolerable. And they'll put pressure on Celtic in a way that we couldn't on our own. And it will be fucking glorious. But it always comes back to that. If we are 20 points behind them at December, none of this applies.
No. And I mean, I think the more astute amongst them have realised that their entire financial and developmental strategy is predicated on them qualifying for the Champions League, and regardless how well they do,
did they learn nothing from us? I mean, there's a really fucking good example locally of why you don't do that.
So now they've got a wage bill, which I think in the conversation you and I were having recently is about 83% of their income. It's a very what a financial wizard would call gearing. I.e. that there's a lot of your financial turnover and profit. A disproportionate amount of it goes towards wages, and it's all in that wages basket, which means that that's the first thing to go when there's any financial pressure on you. So now all of a sudden, between 20 and 30 million pounds, dependent on other variable factors, has gone out of the financial equation for them for next year. So we're going to see a whole year now going ahead. Celtic's current account and Celtic's next financial year accounts will be absolutely devastated by not having that. So that was the second most important thing that could happen to Scottish football, David, in my view, was with them going out. First one was us appointing Gerrard. All of a sudden, the playing field's a little bit more level, and we've got a real opportunity now, not only to win the league, but to put a dent in their so-called lead over us, and we'll actually see what it is. We'll see it in reality what it is. And I actually think, in terms of the behaviour and all the rest of it, I'm wondering if we could crowdfund a restraining order, just a collective restraining order against them to stop them kind of obsessing about. And I know there's an irony, you and I are talking about them in a Rangers podcast, but I mean, I'm to talk about the sheer levels of obsession it leads to you going to a roundabout sign and posting up signs when your team isn't even playing that people are going to read as they drive past on the way to watch Kilmarnock. It's bizarre behaviour.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about in the context of Rangers and how it affects us for 5 minutes at the end of a show. We do not have 5 years worth of blogs dedicated to them.
No, or books or anything like that.
No, that's not. My Twitter account features red, white and blue rather than a Celtic crest with a crack, and it's a different level. It's fucking great, let's be honest. So more power to it. Okay, folks, that's pretty much everything from us today. We'll be back on Friday because, of course, we're playing on Thursday with a review of the UFA game and a look ahead to the weekend's fixtures. Until then, if you want to hear more from us, go to our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/heart and hand. That's patreon.com/heart and hand, where for just $1.99 per month, if you sign up, you will get access to 5 Rangers shows usually per day, never less than 3, sometimes as many as 5. Plenty of content there, everything you can imagine. Check it out, you will really like it. Please go as well and visit our website, heartandhand.co.uk. Not trying to punt you anything on there, just go and have a look. It's full of blogs, interesting content. I think you will like it. So thank you very much to my executive producers in London, Mike Lee and Paul Myers, and my guest today, the wonderful Mr. Stephen Smith.
A pleasure as always, comrade. We march on.
Thank you for listening, folks, and I'll be back to talk to you on Friday. Till then, take care. Cheers. Bye.